Well, good afternoon. This is Betty Meredith, President of the Retirement Resource Center, a retirement education and training company for financial professionals, their clients, and consumers. And I'm happy to be your host today for High Deductible Plan G plus Combo Strategy, a smarter Medigap approach for 2026 with Cameron Giardini of Giardini Medicare. As Medigap premiums continue to rise at historically aggressive rates, with Plan G averaging 9% annual increases and Plan N at 7.5% annual increases, advisors and their clients face a growing affordability crisis that threatens long-term coverage sustainability. Many advisors default to recommending Plan G or Plan N without discussing the compounding cost impact over 10 to 20 years, leaving clients locked into plans with escalating premiums that they may not be able to afford in retirement. And this can erode client trust, lead to coverage lapses, and create situations where clients feel their advisor failed to present all viable options. This session will equip advisors with updated 2026 Medicare numbers, real world premium trend data, and a lesser known strategy, the high deductible Plan G combo that pairs lower premium Medigap coverage with targeted ancillary insurance products to provide financial protection without the runaway premium increases. Cameron Giardini is the co-owner of Giardini Medicare, a family-owned independent Medicare insurance agency based in Southeast Michigan that serves clients virtually across 24 states. After spending years as a licensed Medicare agent working directly with beneficiaries, Cameron now co-runs the agency and serves as its head of research and education, analyzing rate increase data, tracking regulatory changes, and translating complex Medicare details into actionable knowledge for both his team and the public. So, Cameron, thank you for being here with us today, and we'll now turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Betty. I just realized I probably should have made a catchier title for this, but the takeaway here is that, as Betty and I talked about, it's more of going beyond the ABCs of Medicare and just really looking at strategies that clients need to know nowadays with rising Medigap premiums and just the changing overall landscape. So I'll get right into it. We'll talk a little bit about the updated costs during this presentation, just the overall premiums and deductibles for Medicare. The key here is going to be looking at premium trends for Plan G, Plan N, and the high deductible G. Again, making that focus on long-term cost, not just looking at today. And then we will also look at how the high deductible Plan G works. This is important. It is not how a normal high deductible plan works, which we'll talk about. And then we'll just talk about the combo strategy as well as who this may or may not be right for. Again, we'll go through everything here. I don't have to read it verbatim. I will obviously be open to Q&A. So like Betty said, please make sure to put any questions you have in the chat. And first, we'll go with the updated numbers for 2026. So this is probably what you'll see if you just look up Medicare costs or Medicare numbers for 2026. The bottom part, the base Part B premium, that is obviously what most people are going to fixate on. That is the $202.90 per month. That is mostly what everybody pays when they're on Medicare. If you have any consumers with higher incomes who are subject to IRMA, the income-related monthly adjustment amount, it can of course be higher than that, but that is kind of the starting point for everybody with Medicare Part B. And then up top, we have the out-of-pocket cost. The main out-of-pocket cost most people are familiar with Medigap is that middle number, the Part B deductible. So right now it is $283 for the calendar year. That is what most people will pay before their Medigap plan kicks in. On the left, we have a Part A deductible that will come into play later. And then on the right, we have the high deductible limit, which this applies to the high deductible G, which is $2,950 for the calendar year. And as the other slide already showed, it was slightly lower in 2025. So we just wanted to show you that, yes, this high deductible limit, it can and it will increase over time. So in 2026, it's currently $2,950. If we go back about 10 years or a little bit more than that, it was $2,180 for the year. You can see that it is determined by specific regulations. On average, it has increased by about 2.8% per year over the decade. And when it comes down to regulation-wise, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it is based off of the CPIU, the certain inflation indicator, and that goes from, I think, September of one year to September of the other, or August to August, but it is tied to inflation numbers. So not too shocking that this high deductible limit has increased at a slightly faster pace in the last few years. And the other part, not just the out-of-pocket costs, is of course the premium increases and premium increase trends for all Medigap plans. And lately, like Betty has mentioned, that these trends have just been going up higher than we've really seen since we started over a decade ago. And in most states, this is important because when it comes to choosing a Medigap plan, it's really easy to just look at Plan G or Plan N, kind of those basic go-to Medigap plans a lot of advisors and a lot of insurance agents consider. And they just say, get this plan, it covers most of your services and your out-of-pocket costs, and don't worry about it. But again, in most states, if you do want to change plans in the future, you will have to qualify, or the consumer will have to qualify based on their health and their pre-existing conditions. It is by no means a guarantee that you will be able to switch. It is not mandated by Medicare like it is with the Affordable Care Act. So just know that changing from one Medigap plan to another will come down to a client's health history and current health in many different places. It is, however, becoming more common that there are birthday and anniversary rules, as we call them. A birthday rule, in the most simple sense, is in a certain state. I can think of West Virginia, basically just last week, signed into law a new birthday rule. So it does allow consumers to change from one Medigap plan to another without health questions during a certain window surrounding their birthday and their birthday month. Now, this doesn't mean you can always go from any plan. It's not a free-for-all, as you can see here. Usually, you'll be able to either switch from the same plan you have with one company to a new plan with another company, so Plan G with one company to Plan G to another company, or maybe Plan N from one even down to, Plan G from one company to a high deductible G with another company. But generally, these rules, they still will not allow you to quote unquote upgrade from a high deductible Plan G to one of those other plans, like the Plan G or the Plan N. And these are all coming together to just really see rising premium increases more than we've seen. A few years ago, we would have said, Plan G, you can expect, 3 to 5% would be the norm. And now when we look at it, these are the latest numbers I've had, and we got these from Telos Actuarial. If any of you have heard of them, or if you haven't, you can look up Telos. They're a super good third party that just kind of looks at rate increase data and trends in the Medicare market. So based on their data since 2021, now we're seeing Plan G is close to double digits per year at 9%, Plan N at 7.5%, and the high deductible G, those are based on our numbers that we've looked at in in about 6 states with a dozen or so companies. And we've seen that trend about half of the Plan G at 4% per year.